let's go.
What? Oh. Hi, audience. Merry Christmas! We can say that now.
Paul, it's January. You've been asleep.
What? You let me sleep for 2 months? Think of all the news we missed. Hey guys, this is Just News, and I'm just some guy in need of coffee. So, it has been a very Merry Christmas for the Republican Party. They finally got that big win they wanted. A huge tax break with the tax overhaul. If you pay taxes, you're probably going to pay less of them, which is nice, especially if you're a corporation or a rich person, because you will proportionally get a significantly bigger tax break. It has been speculated they are planning on using this tax break as kind of an excuse to then pivot and cut welfare programs or foreign aid. Two things the Republican Party in general has been looking forward to doing for some time. It has actually been a rather weird time at the White House with the release of a book called Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff. It's a fairly good, if very sensational read. There's some speculation about how much of it has been made up or not. However, the Republicans, despite saying this, have decided it's Steve Bannon's fault and basically ejected him from the world of Republican stuff. Trump was so unhappy, though, that he decided it was time to complain and try to open up libel laws again. Libel, they're the things that stop you from saying something that may or may not be true. Speculation, basically. If you speculate in a published format, they can sue you. So if you were anywhere near Florida for the past month, you've had a pretty weird month. Your state government just got permission to really open up oil drilling that no one else has gotten yet. 12 other states want to, but they haven't gotten permission yet. Let's see. Other than that, stay away from any monkeys in Florida. Did you know Florida had monkeys? I didn't know that. But now they have killer herpes, so don't go near them. Or was it hepatitis? It is killer herpes. So don't kiss a macaque. But with the huge cold snap that hit the entire East Coast, including Florida, can you imagine snow in Florida? Less fortunate were the iguanas. There were reports that they fell out of the trees. They kind of just become little iguanasicles, and then as they warm up, they go back to normal. They say if you see one in the shade, you should scoot them out under the sun so they can warm up faster. Other people advise against this, since if they're warmed up enough to move at all, they will kind of flip out, because the last thing they remember is falling out of a tree. Since if they're warmed up enough to move at all, they will kind of flip out, because the last thing they remember is falling out of a tree. Of course, in other tropical regions, things are heating up. As in Hawaii, they were under the assumption they were going to be hit by a missile for 40 minutes. This was because someone sent out the cell phone warning system, and it warned people they were going to be hit with a missile imminently. This is because someone pressed a button at whatever the HQ is and set off the system without any actual missile being there. So everyone assumed that this missile scare was somehow North Korea's fault, that they had either threatened to or messed with the system to make it go off, or actually launched a missile at Hawaii, which would be ridiculous. Because, honestly, we are kind of doing okay, diplomatically speaking. They have actually, or at least I assume, opened a diplomatic channel because of the whole, they wanted an Olympic team in the South Korean Olympics. South Korea and the Olympic board said, okay. And it's a bit of a connection, more than they've had in years. They also thanked Trump for his efforts to create this diplomatic situation, probably so that he would stop tweeting back at Kim Jong-un and comparing button powers, all of that stuff. Everything is happy now. The thing about Israel, well, White House administration declared that they were going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, in effect declaring the Israeli capital in the eyes of the U.S. to be Jerusalem. This effectively ends the two-state strategy, or at least the U.S. as a proponent of it. This shifts a lot of diplomatic ground and, to be honest, throws out decades of work towards a two-state solution. As you can imagine, this has had something of a cascading effect in certain parts of the Middle East, mostly Palestine. In particular, many protests. One of the most notable ones would be the arrest of a Palestinian girl who slapped a soldier in the face. And unfortunately, she is likely to face some hard prison time because, you know, she kicked a soldier from a foreign government. How do you even arrest? Anyways, and that brings us to our next set of news. Pakistan. Oh my. So, Pakistan has also been having some unusual problems and lots of protests, mostly in conjunction with discovering the body of a little girl defiled in a dumpster, not alive. This has led to continuous protests. Other than that, their military aid from the U.S. has been cut. My understanding is that the Pakistani military is very unhappy about this, as that was one of the main trade-offs they got for us being, diplomatically speaking, buds. So, yeah, that is the Middle East, ending on a bit of a heavy note there. And for our next story, one last one. This one is about everyone's favorite not quite legal drug, pot. The Trump administration, more specifically the Justice Department led by Jeff Sessions, has decided to nix the guidelines about federal prosecution being avoided in favor of whatever the state law is on pot. They have nixed this in favor of re-pursuing, or at least Jeff Sessions hopes to re-pursue, convicting people, arresting people, fining people, pot being illegal again. It's going to be interesting to see how this works with the multi-billion-dollar industry still growing state by state. And to Mr. Jeff Sessions, good luck. And for our local news story, I regret to say we didn't do as much research. We didn't quite have the time when we built this all up. But we do have a local news story, an unfortunate one about a school board and a teacher named Deshia Hargrave, an English teacher at Renee Roast Middle School, and a pretty good one. She won Teacher of the Year in the past. And, where their school is, they've been going through a bit of a dearth of funding for education. The school board hasn't raised anyone's wages in years. And then this year, they decided abruptly that they should raise the superintendent's wage by $30,000. That's more than 20%. He was making $110,000. Now, many people showed up to express their vehement opinions on this. Deshia was one of them. She wanted to know why someone was getting $30,000 more when all of the teachers had not gotten any raises of any variety or any size for a decade? Yeah, around there. This was met almost immediately with her being a marshal telling her to go away, essentially. Stop talking and leave. She continued to try to express her opinion. The marshal pressed the go away thing, and she did. And then they got film of her arresting film of the marshal arresting her directly outside the room. All she did was ask a question that they did not want to have to answer. This is getting a bit heavier than I liked, so let's lighten the mood with Animal Corner. Be discussing sharks, man's most terrifying, toothy, vicious enemy, and how Nevada is protecting them. You know, that state in the desert. So, Nevada has become either the 12th or the 13th state to illegalize something known as shark fin soup. Deliciously cartilaginous, though the fin itself doesn't have much taste, the broth does. It has been becoming increasingly popular in Nevada, and therefore casinos have been making even more of it, because it's sort of it feels like a prestige sort of item. However, believe it or not, the way you get a shark fin for shark fin soup is finding a shark and cutting its fin off. This practice is generally known as finning, and what they do afterwards is they throw the shark back in the ocean, just without a fin. This makes it basically impossible for that shark to effectively swim around and hunt things and do other sharky function. That might sound a bit weird, or, oh, there's not too much of that. It's estimated about 100 million sharks a year get their fin cut off. And that's kind of a problem, because sharks are the large animal garbage disposal of the sea. We need them for that whole ecosystem to work in parts. So good job, Nevada. Keep it up. All right, guys, thanks for listening to us. If we missed anything, make sure to just tell us in the comments. If you think we're idiots, also tell us in the comments. But then like us, too, so you can keep calling us idiots. It's pretty fun, isn't it? So anyways, thank you for this. We will try to keep these going at least once a week for as long as we can. And remember, I don't know. See you next time. Need to get my girlfriend's laptop fixed so she'll stop using mine. Yeah, I've passed out iguana, alright. And, I am become news. What, would you want Trump helping?
Okay, Pakistan is next to India.
God damn it. Palestine.